welcome to the second installment of hoof picking. Now I'll demonstrate the back hooves. So I have written on the ground here the letter K, which is what I call the K for kick zone. So the most important part in cleaning back hooves is that you stay out of the kick zones. So kick zones are the bottom part and the top parts of the K. So the bottom part, because when horses kick, it flies underneath their belly, they can actually kick up and out at an angle forward and then back and out at an angle backwards. So it's important that I stay in what we call the safe zone. So getting the back hoof picked up is a little bit different than the front hoof. Their joints work differently. So this joint, again, if you remember from your horse anatomy lesson, like I'm sure you all did last week, this joint is our stifle, and it operates more like a knee. So if you imagine how a knee bends, the stifle bends that way. And our hock works more like an elbow. So anyhow, if you kind of imagine those joints as you're seeing the leg be picked up, it'll make a little bit more sense on how you request that joint to bend and move. So one other difference is I don't start with my hand on the back side of the joint. I start with my hand on this side. So I still put pressure on the inside of the leg as I swipe down, but it's on the inside from the back. And if you see her just really easily picking up her hoof, that's because the back end, while it does have it can be more dangerous, it's a lot easier to get them to pick it up. So I'll demonstrate that one more time, and hopefully she won't do it quite so easily so you can see me actually have to maneuver it up. So if I start up here and I really put pressure and I squeeze, there's that pressure point that comes up. I didn't grab it, but this time I will. And I'll show the two-handed method on our back leg so you see what that looks like. So I squeeze, oh good, so she didn't pick it up right away for me. So what I do on the back, if she doesn't pick it up right away, is I grab down here and I kind of squeeze and I kind of pull it up and forward. So I was pushing it, or I was pulling it rather, in the direction of her front legs and out a little bit. So one more time, that's here, and then I'm kind of just trying to ease that weight off, and there's that two-handed method where my right hand sweeps in and grabs. And now same way, when I hold the hoof, the palm of my hand is on the hoof, and now I like to keep their hooves nice and low because it's a little bit easier and more natural for them to keep it up. So I have to get my body down pretty low. So I'm in a really deep squat. I try to keep my back nice and straight so it's not too terribly sore. And then same rules apply for our digging. I start in the bars. I push really hard. Once I know that everything's out of those bars, I dig around the outside. She doesn't have horseshoes on her back end. So you're seeing what a hoof looks like without shoes. And then she's got these cute little feathers covering up where her frog is. But I want to make sure I even get the middle of that frog there. And then again, I just brush it out just to make sure I got it all. And I did. And then when I put it down, I actually have to put it down for her. The last thing I want to talk about before I'm done, the most common question that I'm asked when picking hooves, rather the most common hesitation, is people being nervous that they're going to hurt the horse by pushing too hard on the bottom of the hoof. So it's important to understand something about horses, how much they weigh, hoof picking. So if a horse weighs about 1,000 pounds, if there's equal weight distributed amongst all four hooves, that's about 250 pounds per hoof. So if you think about just walking your horse out to the trail, that means on each hoof, there's 250 pounds of rock pushing up onto the sole of their hoof. So if you, kid, adult, big strong man, whoever, thinks they can actually push the equivalent of just what rocks push from their body weight, then you're probably mistaken in how strong you are. So never be worried about pushing too hard. It's really important that you dig deep to get all of the last of the gunk out of the inside of those bars. So the last thing I want to touch on is I missed the where when we did the who, what, when, how, and why. The where is that we always hoof pick in the cross ties. So it's really important that the horse isn't able to move or turn while you're doing it. So when they're in the cross ties, it's the safest place to do it. Never just do it in a stall where a horse is free, or it's a high likelihood you could get kicked. So anyhow, thanks again for joining.